This video is sponsored by World of Warships. I usually love Apple products. Generally have an iPhone in my pocket most of the year. I've got an Apple Watch on. I love my AirPods. I use my iPad every single day. They're far from perfect, and generally they have issues, and I can usually get over them. But there's one Apple product that I refuse to use. I hate the Apple TV, and it might sound ridiculous, but my reason is about to matter more than ever before. So I should probably be more specific. It's not the Apple TV itself. The box is fine, the UI is fine. My issue is the stupid remote. And I've got a few good reasons for it. First, I have lost this thing about 3 different times between couch cushions. It is the perfect size to fall between said cushions. And should you drop it, the glass trackpad here is gonna make this almost $60 to replace. All of that aside, it's not ergonomic, it feels weird in the hand. I still have a hard time telling which way's up and down, despite the menu button finally getting a ring around it. There's slight TV controls, it's minimalistic and a few buttons. So I could probably do a whole video ranting on the remote, but I'm gonna save you the rage and assume that you get the point. I don't like it, and switching away from Apple TV has made me move away from things that I really like about the Apple TV, and it hasn't been a big deal in the past. I found ways to get around AirPlay, and I can get my movies on Movies Anywhere, but I'm losing a lot of the stuff that makes the Apple TV amazing, and that's going to matter a lot more now. So before we continue, I want to give a big thank you to this video's sponsor, World of Warships. If you guys have been following gaming for a while, then World of Warships probably sounds familiar. It's kind of a similar gameplay to World of Tanks or World of Warplanes, except now, it's ships. And again, it's totally free to play. It's an online strategy game. You can do it on a PC or a Mac. It's done by the folks at Wargaming. It features millions of players that are kind of fighting to upgrade the army of ships, weapons, and armor. And again, there are a lot of games to play like this one because there's kind of a bit more thought that goes into it. It's more of a strategy-based game. The more you play, the more stuff you can unlock, and you can sort of fight these battles out on the seas with over 30 million players worldwide. If the game sounds fun and you like games that are strategic and also totally free to play, use the code PLAYLANGLEY2019. You get a bunch of awesome stuff, but the highlight for me is at least you get the USS Langley warship, which is kind of cool to see. Another bunch of awesome stuff. We'll link to it down below in case you want to learn more. Again, a big thank you to World of Warships.
So we've now got music and TV shows and audiobooks and movies and all sorts of great digital content on the iTunes store. What about that big screen flat TV you just bought last weekend? You'd love to be able to, say, watch your movies on that, right? You got to go out and somehow get a little iTunes player here to play this stuff. Let's talk about this box. This is the missing piece. Well, here it is. This is what it looks like. And internally, we call it iTV. It's going to let you enjoy your media on your big screen flat TV.
So the Apple TV and the iPhone actually were born in the same year, but the Apple TV actually came out in January of 2007. And it was a hobby, as Steve Jobs said, and that hobby kind of made little sense in practice. It was kind of like an iPod for your TV. It was kind of a convoluted mess, but that really didn't stop me from wanting one. I really wanted one just to try it. And I had a pretty awesome girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, that actually bought me the Apple TV. It was about $300 when it came out, and I thought I was gonna use it all the time. And if you go back to the early days of the YouTube channel, it actually was the 7th video I ever uploaded on the John 4 Lakers channel, was an unboxing of that exact first-gen Apple TV.
Overall, I really like the Apple TV. It does everything I needed to do, everything I wanted it to do.
But we've got one more thing. Actually, it's one more hobby.
So over the years, Apple continued to develop their hobby, but still the knock on the first-gen Apple TV was it was expensive. And they also started facing mounting competition in this hobby space from companies like Roku that were releasing really low price options. Enter the second gen, which got totally redesigned. It's thin, it's small, and most importantly, they dropped the price down to 99 bucks. And also now you had a portal to get into the recently launched Netflix streaming service. So the second and third gen Apple TVs looked pretty much the same. There were some revised internal specs. The next big change that we saw was from third to fourth gen, where it got extra thick. And it's still the same that we have right now with the Apple TV 4K. It looks pretty much identical, but the big one that the Apple TV 4th gen brought was the App Store. So now you could actually download the apps that you wanted. It also brought the iconic remote, if you even want to call it that, to play here. So now Apple was allowing people to actually pick what apps they wanted to stream from. iTunes is still the preferred one for Apple, but it gave choice to the consumer to pick whatever they wanted to watch their shows or movies on. You could now do it on the Apple TV. So the Apple TV right now, I think, has a few key advantages. So first, you get access to the iTunes library right out of the box, and that's huge. You've got first-run movies, rentals. You probably have the best way to access movies, especially new releases, out there of any platform. AirPlay is huge as well, being able to AirPlay your own videos from your phone, be able to do screen mirroring. Outside of those sort of key benefits, Apple TV doesn't really offer anything else. It seems to me that Apple is very clearly at a fork in the road. Are they gonna go all in on hardware, or are they gonna sort of veer to where maybe they haven't gone before and focus on Apple TV as an experience, more software-based? Things are changing. Apple's got an event. It's a few days as of this filming. Maybe it already happened by the time you watch this. And it's gonna be all about that streaming service. They're gonna square up. They're gonna put their guns up to Netflix. They're gonna say, we got original content too. We want your eyes. Come watch our Apple shows. But this is like the start of Apple Studios. I'm not talking like the Beatles. This is where like Apple starts making TV shows and movies. And that's clearly like a new Apple. So I don't know if you guys remember your history books, but like anytime you've followed in war history, an invasion takes time, and the invasion takes planning. And Apple's been planning their invasion and their war with Netflix and Hulu and Amazon for a really long time. They've got shows that are already wrapped, seasons that are already done, directors already hired for upcoming content, scripts that are finalized. They are ready for this, and they're committed, and they started preparing years ago for this announcement. So I don't know what they're gonna do for pricing. The rumor is that some stuff will be free, some stuff will be behind a paywall, but at least all those folks with some sort of Apple product have the opportunity to see the content. They're not requiring people to necessarily go and download an app from another app store. The idea is that it's already going to automatically show up with your next software update right on your home screen or just right on your phone. The elephant in the room, if you've ever read the Walter Isaacson autobiography on Steve Jobs, evidently Jobs, through the end of his life, said he cracked TV. He cracked how to do it. And maybe this is Jobs' vision that we're going to be seeing. Everybody thought it was gonna be a physical TV set with maybe some intuitive UI. Maybe that wasn't what he cracked all along. Maybe the Jobs had some sort of foresight that the Netflix model was going to work. Maybe his cracking of TV was get in front of as many people as possible. And I couldn't imagine a more un-Jobsian approach to something. But if you could say anything about Steve Jobs, he was definitely not conventional. So if there's one thing I think tech giants have learned since the iPhone, is don't underestimate Apple when they're committed. Say what you will about Apple, their war chest is rivaling some nations. They've got money and they clearly seem committed to this. So if I were Netflix, if I were Reed Hastings, I would be worried. If I'm Amazon, I would be worried. There's only a certain amount of hours in a day and a certain amount of eyeballs that are watching content. If Apple comes with the next Game of Thrones, the next must-have show, it's going to snowball from there. And they certainly seem confident that they've got the next must-watch TV show or movie. And if they hit that home run early, the Apple TV service is going to be huge.